9 charnel ground contemplation. And in the time of the Buddha, this is a subject of meditation. You can see in Dhammapada commentary and various other places. First, the meditating monks must seek permission of the village headman and then go to the funeral director or somebody, the one who is in charge of cremation, and take his permission. Or then goes to the cemetery and take the permission of the one who is in charge of the cemetery, burning the body or leaving the body according to the wish of the relatives. And then they tell the undertaker, whenever you get a body, you let me know. So he sits under a tree, or if there is a little kuti, there he sits, and after informing the undertaker to let him know when the body comes, so he is there. But as soon as the body comes, it is not completely decomposed, because within 24 hours they brought the body to the cemetery. So the monk could come to that body. It is not completely covered with cloth or anything, completely bare body. They leave there. And then every day he comes and then stand or sit there and meditate on the body. You can see these are the things that they saw, but these days we cannot see them. That is why the Buddha used the word as if or as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in a charnel ground. So this monk would come and see this the body thrown in the charnel ground. 1, 2, 3 days dead, bloated, livid, and oozing matter. A bhikkhu compares this very body with it thus. This body too, that means referring to his own body. This body too is of the same nature, it will be like that, it is not exempt from that fate. So, he compares his body with the one he sees. Nowadays we cannot find dead bodies like that. Therefore, we have to understand our body. We have gone through the 5 stages of mindfulness of the body and matured ourselves emotionally, and we prepare ourselves emotionally, because up to now we prepared our mind looking at the body in a very, very realistic, practical, natural way. The breath and so forth, we have to look at it. And now we are ready. Spiritually, emotionally, we are mature. At that time, think this body of mine, when dies, Ayu usmacha viññāna yada kāyan jahante mang apaviddo tadaset nirattanga kalingaran. When Ayu, heat, consciousness, all this left the body, this body is like a piece of log, much worse than log. Log you can burn for firewood, but but this body, no, worse than that. And compare it to How many of you have seen actually a dead body, 1, 2, 3 days dead, bloated, livid, and oozing matter? I don't think any of you have seen. I have seen. If the body is on the road, we can stand here. So stinky. I have seen bodies drowned in rivers in Sri Lanka, and it took several days for the body to float down the river and hang over branches of trees, coming to the water, and then sometimes it takes about a week or so for the body to be found. Then by then, these reptiles like crocodiles. They are not actually crocodiles. They belong to a crocodile family.
Yeah.
They have come and eaten part of the body. So one day I came from my monks to school at night, because that day I had to give a Dhamma talk. I came to catch the bus. There was no bus. So I walked about 6-7 miles in the middle of the night at about 12 o'clock, pitch dark. And that day there was, the river also was flooded. And dead body had come from up. The young man drowned, and the body had come and was gone over a branch and held it by the branch. It cannot float anymore. And I had to stand there to catch the boat, to go to the other side of the river. I mean, I don't know whether you have smelt skunks. Worse than that. I have seen my brother, who died from falling a tree. They don't have anything called embalm or anything. They just burn incense and this lime leaves and so forth, just to get rid of the odor. But he was so bloated several days after that. Kept in the house. Of course, because before it was livid and broken, it was buried. So I have seen that. Now, at that time I never had done a meditation like this, so it was so difficult to bear the odor. Now this body is like that. This so-called my body, I have no control of this body, even now. Because so many things has happened to this body. Although I have consciousness, feeling and so forth, way of thinking and all this, I have no control of this body. This is much worse than that when we are dead. So, devoured by 2-3 days dead, livid, oozing. You know why the body is heavier when it is dead, when the person is heavier when it's dead? I don't know, they call dead weight.
I think it's because of all the fluid there.
A lot of fluid
are building up.
Build up. Bacteria builds up. And there's no way to get it out. No exercise, no sweating and so forth. Everything builds up. And the weight is very heavy. And then it bursts. When it swells up, it bursts. And then from the areas, the skin is broken and burst, and then it starts pus, the liquid oozing out. and then soon after that you see worms in it, eating up. This is what happened to our body. So-called our body, which we don't have any control even now, will happen to us. So, seeing that body, all our pride, all our clinging, craving, attachment to this body slowly fade away. For this purpose, without any emotional reactions, attachment, hate, mindfully, realistically compare that dead body with ours. That is true. Since we cannot see the body these days, we have to imagine, visualize. This is not exempt from that fate. People say all sort of things about their bodies. I have heard people say, I don't want this body to put in a coffin and seal it, because they cannot breathe. How can you breathe after death? But still they want to keep the body in a perfect way. You all know how they prepare the bodies after death.
Go into a wedding or something.
Yeah, after that they dress up like coming from wedding. But even the backside is not connected, is completely open. Only the
front.
The front.
Yeah.
Front is covered. The coat, shirt, whatever they put, backside is open. They covered this part, only upper part. Just to deceive us, to make us believe that this is so. People say, oh, he looks like as if he was sleeping. That's a funeral director, so prepare. Mouth remain open. When we die, mouth, they have to put some kind of spring inside to close it. Put a screw in there and then put the spring which is tight together. Otherwise it remains open. And the eyes open. They have to put some gum to keep the eyes closed. And the hands are here and there, so I have to tie the both thumbs, putting the thumbs together. The relatives are asked to get the clothes. When they bring clothes, the funeral directors cut open and put hands here in there, pants and so forth. After all these things, of course they have to embalm the body, using formaldehyde, right? Formaldehyde. Embalm it so that it can preserve for a certain period of time. If you leave the body without doing all these things, to decompose naturally, this is what happened. But no, it is so unsightly, nobody likes to look at it. And that is the stage, that is the time. In Thailand they still do that. Thai monks go to funeral homes. They don't have funeral homes as such, like here. They have stack of bodies. I don't know how they preserve bodies for 1 year. They preserve the body. And then if some unknown person like robbers killed in forest, They bring to monasteries at the request of monks, bring them to the meditation centers for the monks to look at the body. That's how they develop this practice. Now, since these are all cumbersome to find dead bodies, go to various places and make arrangement and so forth, Buddha said, when you sit, visualize, imagine, this is what happened. After 1 day dead, 2 days dead, 3 days dead, then started bloating, then breaking up, livid, and then started oozing, liquid coming out of the body. This is what happened to this body, this so-called my body. And then, that is the one stage. Second stage is as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in the charnel ground, being devoured by crows, hawks, vultures, dogs, jackals, various kinds of worms. In Bombay, there is a place called Hanging Garden. There is a big circular structure, and there are grills. The Zoroastrians, ancient Iranian people, had a religion called Zoroastrianism. Some of them are still living there. They bring their bodies when they die and put on the grill. I have seen with my own eyes big vultures. Hundreds of them come from various directions and start eating them. And then on the ground you can see bones. After eating them, drop the bones. As you know, ancient Egypt, they mummified the bodies to preserve their car called soul. They mummified. So many superstitions. I went to Mexico, in Teotihuacan. There is a museum. In the museum, there are pictures of hands separately, legs separately, heart separately. The guide explained to us, when their relatives die, I don't know, that doesn't happen now, long ago, they cut up the body into various parts and then eat to keep the relationship. They love the person so much, they don't want to bury. They cut up and eat. That is why they show those parts in the museum. That is the explanation. So anyway, when you leave the body to decompose naturally, this is what happens. They come and eat the softest part of the body first. Then they slowly go into the hard part, like the skull and brain and so forth. Visualize just this body. Crows come and grab part. Vulture comes and take another part. Jackals come and take another part. Then dog comes and take another part. They are fighting, eating, running, flying. Then the flies come and eat, worms and eat, and so forth. Slowly. Disappearing. Just imagine. So where is I? Where is soul? Bhante. Maybe they take little parts of the soul share among themselves. Then, third stage. A skeleton with flesh and blood, held together with sinews. Now, just imagine the skeleton with flesh and blood. It's not completely disintegrated. The bones are still held together with the sinews. But there are some parts of flesh, some flesh, and blood smeared bones here and there. And so my flesh is gone, hair is gone, skin is gone, teeth they may be there, but when you lose your teeth before you die, then you don't have to worry about it. Then, but the holes here and there, cavity here and there, open, various parts, and then most of the flesh is gone, but some flesh is there. Bone is smeared with blood, and then all together tendons, they tie together and still they are there. That is what we see outside, and that is what happens to this body of ours. Third. The fourth, skeleton is smeared with blood, held together with sinews. Now this time, no flesh, fleshless skeleton. Now, but still it is bloody, smeared with blood, and not completely separated because of the tendons and sinews hold them together. That's outside body. Same thing happens to this body. This is not exempt from that state. Fifth stage, a skeleton without flesh and blood, held together with sinews. Now this stage, not even flesh, no blood, but skeleton is still broken here and there, but not completely, because the sinews are holding them. That's outside body. Then we compare it with ours. Sixth stage. Now, disconnected bones scattered in all directions. Here a hand bone, there a foot bone, here shin bone, there thigh bone, here hip bone, there backbone, here rib bone, there breast bone, here an arms bone, there shoulder bone, here neck bone, there jaw bone, here tooth, the skull. Now, teeth and skull can remain together. You can see the skulls are made with teeth. Some people have very good teeth. They hold together and stay there. From few may be broken here and there, the rest remain there. But bones, from here to here, or sometimes bone from broken, this joint separated. From the knee down, sometimes it can be separated. Other times it can remain the whole leg bone. Thigh is separated from the shin bone. And these little toe bones, finger, toe bones, and so forth. I think these chest bones, maybe all the pairs together or separate, because they are not very strong. They are sometimes floating bones. As you breathe in and out, they float. They can be separated easily. And so forth. As Buddha mentioned here, they are here and there, scattered, not even together, separate. So now the body is totally disintegrated. Where is that being? The person. No longer there. Same thing happened to us. 7th stage. Chanlangan, bones bleached white, the color of shells. Not very much left. The blood is gone. Now no longer red color. Because of the sunlight, whatever color, bloody color was there, is gone, dried up, and then they all look very white. 8th stage. It is collection of bones. Bones heaped up, more than a year old. That is what happened after 1 year. Only collection of bones. After that, more than a year old, rotted and crumbled to dust. Eventually they reduced to dust. And one day, big wind blows, the dust will disappear into there. Not even dust. This is what happened to this body. Then people ask, what happened to the spirit? The body is gone. What happened to the spirit? What happened to the spirit? Is there any spirit in the body? I always am thinking of how to find my spirit. I cannot find spirit. What do they mean by spirit? Is soul. Soul. You put a body, even before death, into a glass coffin and seal it, not leaving one tiny little hole, so that you believe that the spirit or soul or whatever should stay inside. Floating around it cannot stay in the body. The soul or spirit should hang around the body so that you can see it. That is why you put in a glass coffin. You cannot find such thing. What happened to us when we die? This is what happened to the body. So Buddha was talking about the body. And this is what happened to it. It reduced to dust and disappears. But that is not us. That's not completely us. We still have something else. That part is not in the body. That is our karma, greed and ignorance. karma, greed and ignorance plus consciousness. They leave the body as we die. Then the body is just like a piece of log and decomposed like this. What does this prove us? It proves that this body is impermanent. That is how it ends. And we experience this impermanence taking place all the time. Even while we are, especially while we are alive, when we mindfully wash the body, if we live long enough, we may live many years, and throughout the entire life, we see constantly moving parts, decaying, dying, and renewing all the time until we reach this stage. So, in this mindfulness practice, I think this is a very important aspect to look at the important way of looking at the body in order to understand our impermanent nature. We have no control over this, no mastery over that, no way to stop it. With all this modern technology, science, medicine, and so forth and so on, we cannot prevent this happening. We may delay death to a certain point, for a short while, but eventually this is what will happen to us. This is how it ends. So, being emotional and trying to suicide or homicide is not the solution. But the solution is to understand, comprehend, and realize this truth by ourselves in our own practice, through mindfulness training, mindfulness practice. I think this is what I want to say in conclusion. I think this is enough for the